welcome back to Sandy's Spooky Reviews. So we have returned to the board game reviews. So this time I'm going to be talking about the game Mysterium. Now, if you have heard this game, you might think it's very similar to Cluedo, and you would absolutely be right. But this has a very unique and different twist on it. So with Cluedo, you're obviously finding the murderer, the location, and the weapon. That is still the same with this game, but you have people playing the psychic and you have someone as the ghost. So this game you can play up to 7 players, which 6 of them would be a psychic and 1 would be a ghost. So the ghost is the person that has been murdered and they are helping the psychic solve it. So you do not have a board as you would with Cluedo. The ghost is kind of a DM. If you have played Dungeons and Dragons, the DM kind of leads the story, leads the campaign. So essentially that is what the ghost is doing. The ghost will have a screen that looks like this. It's a lovely screen. And on the other side, this is what the ghost gets to see. So they will see a line for every single color of the characters. This is what I prepared earlier. So every character will get their own person, their own location, and their own weapon they must solve. Now to do this is where it definitely changes from Cluedo, because this is set out with cards, not with a board. So the cards, you will get weapons, people, locations. So the first one you always solve is the person. So every character will start here and they get to see these gorgeous cards. So there is 18 different characters that could have been the murderer, and they are all different in design. One's a magician, you've got a nun, there's a chef, there's a seamstress. So they all have different professions that you can easily go, this is who I think this person is. You don't need their name. There is police officers. There is a lot of different characters. So the psychics get to see the larger cards. These cards are randomly selected. So you would shuffle this deck, deal out, for example, say 5 people are playing. At the easy difficulty, you would have 6 cards. So you'll deal out 6 cards. So the ghost has not seen this yet. It's just the psychics doing this part. And then you go by the numbers and the ghost will have matching cards. The ghost has this background. So it's a lovely blue, where the psychics get a brown background. So the psychic has not seen these yet. You just pick out the matching numbers. So you don't even have to worry about the pictures. You just get the matching numbers. So it's very simple in that regard of you don't really have to deal multiple decks. You just deal one deck and then get the matching numbers. The matching numbers, these ones are then passed to the ghost. These ones are put face up on the table. This is then repeated for the locations. So the numbers are continued. They don't repeat any numbers. So you can mix the decks, but I like keeping them separate. So locations are brown and they all have numbers continuing up. And again, the ghost will get blue background. Same deal with the locations. 6 is randomly selected. Deal them out. They get face down. 6 get handed to the ghost, the exact same. And then this is repeated again for the weapons. Though, for some reason, they decided to do the weapons a bit differently. So, these are for the ghost. Same size and everything. The numbers continue upwards. But the psychics get a much smaller card. So I'm not exactly sure why they decide to change the weapons, but they are actually really cute. So same deal, 6 cards, match the numbers. The psychics are given the ghost is given the other half. So then the ghost still hasn't seen what the cards are. The psychics have dealt them out. the ghost is not meant to be looking, especially because they're going to be upside down to the ghost, so the ghost is going to struggle to notice them anyway. So the deal for the ghost is to shuffle and pick 5 of each. 1 card from each of the people, the locations, and the weapons will be discarded. Do not look at them. They are kept secret. The cards that are left over for the ghost are put into this. So this is what the ghosts have seen. The ghost has not seen the 6th one. So the ghost is only concentrating on what they can see in their screen. This is very important to understand the game later. So what they want the psychics to do is work out the murderer, work out the location, work out the weapon before the time runs out. So there is a clock. So the clock, you only get 7 hours. So at level 4, some things will reset, which I'll come to, and then level 7, hopefully people have worked out who it is before the time has run out. So each person will have kind of a fortune teller symbol. So this is what they use to move along the platforms and to show which card they believe committed the murder, the location, and weapon. They will also have these little pointers, which either has a tick or has an X on the back. There are also numbers, but the numbers aren't important just yet. The ticks and crosses are. You also have this pointer that will keep track of what level you are on. So that brings me to another piece, which is this. So this is important for end game. So I'll explain that when I get along further, but this will keep track of what level you're on. So if you believe someone is right about who committed their murder, you vote tick up, and if they were right, you will get a point. Those pointers must be used to help you level up. Use them. I cannot express this enough. A lot of my friends were scared to use them, but they reset at hour 4. So use them all, and then you'll get them back at hour 4 and then reuse them because you only have 3 hours left. So use them. Don't just hoard them. Trust me. You want to level up as much as possible. And then this is your home base that you definitely want to make it to. So while there is 6 characters to pick from, it doesn't really matter which character you pick. None of them have special abilities. It's just based on which color you prefer or which character you prefer the look of. They all do the same thing. They are all lovely in design. They all have really nice, pretty colors, and there's just, it is what it is. Each character thing opens up into an envelope, and you all get these that will represent kind of your number later, but for now the ghost will use them to keep track of which character it is, because once you put the things in, they kind of get a little hidden, but you can keep track a little easier rather than rely on kind of the lines, because sometimes you might want to keep track of what characters you have used and kind of things like that. But yeah, so there is those colors, so you can either rely on the colors that are on the screen, or you can use these to help keep track of, if you've given the person the dream card, you can move it away and go, well, I've given them a point. So the role of the ghost is probably the hardest when you are first playing this game. Essentially, it relies on difficulty. If you are starting for the very first time, definitely go with easy. This is because there is a thing called the crows. So the ghost will have dream cards. So they look like that on the back and look like this. So the ghost is essentially picking out dream cards to hint to the psychics of what the murder looks like, what the location looks like, and what the weapon looks like. So you are giving dream cards out. Now, when you're giving a dream card, you can either be saying it's this person because of the color, or because of the picture that's there, like, oh, the person might have a bell in their picture, so it's them because there's a bell. This one has a moon, so you could be hinting at the location is outside. This one has, I'm not actually sure what that is. Yeah, so it could be based on the color or whatever you think that is a picture of. So you kind of have to let your mind wander and kind of work with what you have to kind of hint at who that character could be. So this is where the difficulty comes in. As a ghost, you will get given crows. So on the easy difficulty, you can use unlimited crows. And this means you can discard your dream cards because you pick 7 at a time. If you think those 7 are terrible, discard them, get a new 7, and hopefully they are better. And you can hint at that. At the next difficulty, you get 3. So you can only discard and get a new hand 3 times. The hardest difficulty, you can do it once. So if every hand you get is horrible and hints at nothing, it makes it really difficult if you want the psychics to find the murderer, the location, the weapon within 7 rounds. It can be quite difficult, especially playing for the first time. So I highly recommend, if you're playing for the first time, start with the easy difficulty. Let the ghost take time to sort through the cards and kind of pinpoint what they might be able to hint at. Just don't rush the game. The game already goes for recommended time to 40 minutes to an hour. Just take your time the first time you play it. There is another thing after you give the dream card to the psychics, everyone has their card. You can set a timer, and so people can discuss who they reckon they should vote for and who they think the cards is. So you can cooperate if you want to. Otherwise, you can just vote and just let people decide. But I feel like the timer puts more pressure on if this is the first time you're playing it. So the first time I played it, I didn't use the timer. But the timer is there if you do want to use it. It just puts more pressure on the players and the psychics to kind of make a decision. Especially if you're playing on the highest difficulty. It's like, well, these are the cards I'm stuck with. So you're stuck with making a decision quickly. At the very, very end of the game, where the envelopes come in and the level comes in, only one of the characters that have picked the people, there's only one utmost decision, that there could only be one murderer, there can only be one location, there can only be one weapon. So there is, out of this, because I'm using the example that there is 5 players, there would be 1 out of 5 chance that it's yours. So every single person will have a number, which is where those other cards come into. So for example, this character is 4. So everyone would be numbered 1 to 6. These also have numbers on them, 1 to 6. And then the ghost also has these little numbers, 1 to 6. So the ghost will pick one secretly and put it face down and say, the ghost isn't really meant to talk, but the first time you're playing, basically, I'm going to give you 3 dream cards. One will represent the character, one will represent the location, one will represent the weapon, but they're in any order. So when this happens, this is when the level is important and why people should be voting. So if they make it up to here, they get to look up. If they don't make it up to here, they only get to look at 1 dream card before they make their decision and vote. This one gets to look at 2 dream cards, so it makes it easier to vote on which character, player it could be. This person gets to look at all 3. So you're meant to be voting secretly. You can discuss it beforehand, but otherwise you take this number that matches the player that you think has the correct murderer, correct location, correct weapon, drop it in your envelope, pass it to the ghost. after everyone has voted and the ghost has everyone, the ghost will pull out the numbers, put it on the character that they're voted for. The majority votes go to that person, and then the ghost reveals who it really was. If the majority matches who the ghost says, everyone wins. The murder has been solved. Everyone is happy. If the majority doesn't agree, or the majority didn't vote the same as the ghost, everyone loses and the murder wasn't solved, and it's all very sad. So the very first time you're playing it, I recommend taking it a bit easy. Do it on the easy difficulty. Don't use the timer. Even while I was playing it with my friends, I stopped using the clock. I went up to level 4 so they could get their things back, but then at level 7 I'm like, yeah, let's just keep putting the clock back. And then at one point it was probably on hour 5 for at least 6 rounds, because I'm like, this is the first time you guys are playing it, I'll be easy. It was the first time for me to be a ghost, and they decided to be medium difficulty. I'm like, I hate you guys. But yeah, the first time I played it, I was a psychic, and it was very interesting playing it as a psychic, and just, I was kind of expecting it to be similar to Cluedo, but it was also very different, and I really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the card designs and just the effort they put into the backstory, because if you look at the rule book, there is a backstory for every single character. There is a backstory for the location. There's a backstory kind of for the murder. So you kind of get like these newspaper clipping design and a letter, and then all the characters have like cute little backstories, and they put in so much effort for something that doesn't really matter, and I really do appreciate when they put in so much effort. So this is kind of like the design set out they suggest you do, but you can do a different setup based on the size of your table, or if you're on the floor. Like, it doesn't have to be a massive setup. You can set out however you find it easier. It's just generally the psychics can't see the ghost screen, and the ghost screen shouldn't really be looking at what everything the psychic can see. The psychic has to be able to see enough just to be able to say whether the people are right or wrong. So when the ghost is not meant to talk, you just nod or like no. And then if that person is the murderer, that psychic takes the card, so it's not left. People can't re-vote for it by accident. And yeah, they just hand their psychic cards back. They can be reused. But if they're stuck on that level, they just keep the psychic cards. So it's a really enjoyable game. It can be challenging if you make it challenging. But I find it very interesting that it only can be, like, you have to pick so many, and then it's just one at the end, where Cluedo is obviously just always the one. And then it's just the majority vote at the end as well. It doesn't matter if one person gets it right. It doesn't matter if two people versus, like, say 2 people voted for it and then other 2 people voted and one person just voted for something completely wrong. It's still not the majority. It was a tie. And yeah, so it's really interesting how they decide how you win the game. But yes, I really love this game. I really love the design, and just the pictures are so gorgeous to look at. Like, I'm just happy to look at the dream pictures without even playing the game. I really love this game. I really love the horror and theme aspect of it, the mystery aspect. So going to Halloween, if you're doing a Halloween party, like, dress up as a ghost and like do this, like, act this game out. I reckon it'd be incredibly fun. So this game retails at $79.95. It's worth every cent. This game has fantastic replay value. You can play it with a small group, and I believe you don't use the ghost when you're only playing 2 to 3 players. But I haven't played it that way, but it's worth checking out. If you do purchase the game, check out yourself. But it's definitely a great group game. It makes you work together, but at the same time be secretive if you want to. Like, you're allowed to play however you want to. I also definitely like that the ghost doesn't really have to do anything. It's just more, you know, being amused to other people kind of arguing over, no, it can't be that person because of this color, and you're like, what are you on about? I picked it because it has a bell. Like, so it's pretty funny, like how other people's brains work of why they would have picked the card. So it's very different. There's also expansions available. I haven't purchased or really looked at the expansions. One I know adds a different scenario. So instead of the locations, I think it's something else, but I honestly can't remember now. Each expansion is $49.95. So I would definitely start with base first and just check out the base. If someone has it, like, ask them to show it to you. I played the game for the first time from my colleague, so I didn't just suddenly buy an $80 game, but I would happily buy it again for a gift for someone because I do love it so much, and it's just such a fantastic game. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope I made the game sound interesting. I feel like sometimes I'm rambling, but the game is just so great, I can't help myself. I could talk endlessly about this game if it convinced people to check out and play it. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you've played this game, if you enjoyed this game, if you played the expansions, even if you think they're worth getting. I'll eventually probably get the expansions just because they're easily accessible to me. And yeah, I just really like these kind of games that let you think but also like enjoyable with a twist. Like, yeah, so thank you for watching, and just, yeah. So my last board game, well, it's more of a card game, will be Top Trumps, and it's kind of got a horror aspect to it. So that'll be my final game review for the Spooky series. All right, bye everyone.